Coffee's hot and Grace is near. Pull up a chair, y'all made it here. Faith for real life laughs along the way. A little more mercy for the mess we made. Some days holy looks like trying. Some days faith looks like surviving. Some days all you've got's one prayer, and somehow God still meets you there. Right here in the ordinary, heaven meets the everyday. It's divine shenanigans, grace for all these human hands. God's still moving in the middle of the broken and the little. It's hope for hearts that don't feel steady, mercy for the not quite ready. A little chaos, a lot of grace, divine shenanigans every day.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Divine Shenanigans. I am so glad you're here today. Whether you're driving, folding laundry, sitting in your car pretending you need 5 more minutes of silence, or just trying to get your life together one sip of coffee at a time, you're in the right place. Because today, we are talking about something that is deceptively hard. Letting go without making it a whole dramatic production. Yeah, I said it. Because some of us, we don't just let go. We write a speech, we rehearse it, we imagine the background music, we prepare for emotional Oscars. And then, God's over here like, or you could just release it quietly. So today, we're diving into what it looks like to let go with peace, not performance. All right, grab your coffee, settle in, because this one is going to hit a little deeper than expected. Let's get into it. Letting go sounds spiritual until you actually have to do it. Because we think letting go looks like closure, clarity, a perfect ending speech. But in real life, it looks like unanswered texts, conversations that never happened, people who never apologized, situations that just faded. And you're left sitting there like, wait, am I supposed to move on? And God's like, yeah, I'm doing a quiet work here. Okay, let me tell you about a time when I absolutely did not let go quietly. So there was a situation. And I had already decided I'm going to be mature about this, which is always the first red flag for me. I told myself I am not going to react emotionally. I'm going to handle this with grace. And then I wrote a full speech, like paragraphs with bullet points. I had examples, receipts, tone changes. I was ready. In my head, it was powerful, life-changing, emotionally moving, when in reality, it would have just created more chaos. And I felt God gently nudge me like, you don't need to explain your piece to people who aren't responsible for it. And I was like, but I already practiced this speech in the shower. But that was the moment I realized. Sometimes letting go isn't about saying everything. It's about trusting God with what you don't say. And I know I'm not the only one who's been there. Let's talk about some real life community moments here. Our first one comes from Trish. I kept waiting for closure from someone who hurt me, and it never came. I had to decide to move forward anyway. Then there's Deb. I wanted to confront someone so badly, but every time I prayed, I felt peace instead of urgency. Then Marcia shared, I thought letting go meant fixing everything first, but God showed me I could walk away without finishing the conversation. And that's the thing. We've been taught that letting go requires resolution, agreement, explanation. But God often works in surrender, silence, stillness. All right, let's slow this down for a minute because this isn't just about letting go in a self-help kind of way. This is about understanding how God actually works in the release. So instead of rushing through this part, we're going to sit in it. We're going to look at what Scripture actually shows us about letting go. And spoiler alert, God rarely makes a big scene out of it. We do. Ecclesiastes 3:6, the permission to release. A time to keep and a time to throw away. Now, let's talk about this for real. Because we love the a time to keep part. We are emotionally attached to people, patterns, expectations, old versions of ourselves. We will hold on to something way past its expiration date like it's a coupon we're emotionally invested in. But this verse, it reminds us, letting go isn't failure. It's timing. God is saying there are seasons where holding on is obedience, and seasons where letting go is obedience. And here's the uncomfortable part. We don't always get a notification when the season changes. There is no alert that pops up like, hey, this relationship, it's expired. Hey, this mindset, no longer serving you. No, Instead, it usually looks like discomfort, distance, disruption. And we think something's wrong. But sometimes, nothing's wrong. It's just time to release. Now let's take that idea and look at what it actually looks like in real life. Messy human situations. Abraham and Isaac, letting go of control. Genesis 22. Okay, let's talk about one of the most intense letting go moments in the Bible. God tells Abraham to offer Isaac. And listen, this wasn't just about obedience. This was about trust without explanation. Because God didn't say, hey, Abraham, I'm going to test you emotionally, but don't worry, it all works out. No, God said go, and Abraham went. Now imagine Abraham trying to handle this the way we would. We'd be like, God, I just need some clarity. God, can we talk through this? God, I'm going to need at least 3 confirmations, a sign, and maybe a group chat consensus. But Abraham, he moved forward without needing to control the outcome. And here's the key. Letting go isn't always about losing something. Sometimes it's about releasing your grip on control. Because Abraham didn't lose Isaac. He surrendered control over what Isaac meant to him. So let me ask you, where are you holding on to something? Not because God told you to, but because you're afraid of what happens if you let go. Let's shift from control to movement, because sometimes letting go doesn't look like standing still. Sometimes it looks like walking forward without closure. We have Moses leaving Egypt. Moses had every reason to stay stuck. He had a complicated past, people who doubted him, a situation that was emotionally messy. But when God said go, Moses didn't go back and host a town hall meeting. He didn't say, hey everyone, before I leave Egypt, I'd just like to explain my emotional journey. No, He moved forward. And here's what we miss. Not everyone is meant to understand your exit. Sometimes God will move forward without giving you the opportunity to explain yourself to everyone behind you. And that feels uncomfortable because we want to be understood. We want to be validated. We want to be justified. But God is like, you don't need approval to be obedient. Some of you are stuck right now, not because God hasn't told you to move, but because you're waiting for someone else to agree with your decision. And God is gently saying, you can go, even if they don't get it. Now let's talk about a different kind of letting go, because sometimes you're not the one leaving, you're the one left behind. The father and the prodigal son, Luke 15. This one hits different, because the father didn't lose his son by force. He lost him by release. The son chose to leave. And the father? He didn't chase. He didn't control. He didn't manipulate the situation. He let him go. And I think this is one of the hardest forms of letting go. Letting people make their own choices, even when you know it might hurt them. Because let's be honest, we want to step in and say, no, let me fix this for you. But love doesn't always control. Sometimes love releases. But here's the beautiful part. The father didn't close his heart when he let go. He stayed open. So if you're in a season where you've had to let someone go, whether it's emotionally, relationally, or physically, this is your reminder. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you trust God with what you can't control. All right, now let's go even deeper because there's one more layer to this. Jesus in Gethsemane. Matthew 26, 36 to 46. If there was ever a moment of internal struggle, it was this. Jesus knew what was coming, and he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." Now let's pause right there because this wasn't passive. This was surrender in its rawest form. Jesus didn't pretend it was easy. He didn't say, "Oh yeah, this is totally fine." No. He felt the weight of it and still chose to release his will. And here's why this matters for us. Letting go isn't about not feeling anything. It's about choosing surrender anyway. Some of you are in a Gethsemane moment right now. You know what God is asking you to release. You just don't want to. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But just like Jesus, you can say, "God, this is hard, but I trust you more than I trust my fear." All right, let's take a breath for a second because that's a lot. We just walked through releasing seasons, surrendering control, moving forward without explanation, letting go with love, trusting God over our own will. And if you're feeling a little convicted right now, good. That means something is shifting. So now the question becomes, what do we actually do with all of this in real life? Because it's one thing to understand it. It's another thing to live it. So let's talk about that next. How can we implement this into our daily life? Stop waiting for the perfect ending. Not every story wraps up neatly. Release the need to be understood. You can have peace without being validated. Let silence do the work. Not every response is necessary. Trust God with unfinished conversations. He sees what you don't say. Choose peace over performance. You don't need a dramatic exit to walk away. All right, my friends, you know what time it is. You know what we do here. It's holy homework time. This week, our journaling prompt that I want you to think about, what am I holding on to because I feel like I need closure? Our reflection question, where is God asking me to quietly let go? Our action step, I want you to practice one moment of non-reaction this week. Just one, no speech, no explanation, just peace. Now, before we wrap up today, I want to slow this all the way down because we've talked about letting go, we've talked about surrender, and we've talked about releasing control. But there's something we don't talk about enough. What happens after you let go? Because nobody really prepares you for that part. See, we think letting go is the hard part, but sometimes the hardest part is what comes next. It's the silence. It's the space where the conversation didn't happen. The closure didn't come. The outcome isn't clear yet. and you're just sitting there. No distraction, no resolution, no emotional speech to give. Just you and God. And if you're anything like me, that's the moment where your brain goes, okay, but what if we overthink everything real quick? This song of the week, Learning to Be Still, came from one of those exact moments. I had finally let something go. And I thought, okay, I did the hard part. I surrendered. I released it. I'm good. And then, nothing. No clarity. No instant peace wave. No, and everything worked out perfectly moment. Just quiet. And I remember sitting there thinking, God, are you going to say something? Because I just made a very emotionally mature decision. And I feel like that deserves a follow-up. But instead of answers, there was stillness. And I didn't like it at first. Because stillness feels unfamiliar when you're used to fixing, reacting, over-explaining, and holding everything together. Stillness feels like doing nothing. But what God started showing me was this. Stillness isn't nothing. It's trust in motion. This song that I wrote is about that space. The in-between. The I let go, now what moment. It's about learning to sit with God instead of rushing ahead. Trusting Him without needing immediate answers. Choosing peace when your mind wants chaos. Because if we're honest, we don't struggle with letting go because we can't. We struggle because we don't know how to live after we do. So when you listen to this song, you're going to hear themes like, I don't have to chase what you've already handled. Silence doesn't mean you're absent. I can rest without knowing everything. You're working even when I don't see movement. Because that's what this season is about. It's not about doing more. It's about being still enough to trust God in the quiet. So I want to encourage you right now. Don't just listen to this song. I want you to sit with it. If you're driving, let it play. If you're at home, pause for a second. If you've been holding on to something, this is your moment to release it. Not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly. And if you're in that space right now where you've let go, but you don't know what's next, I want you to hear this clearly. God is still working, even when it's quiet. You're not forgotten. You're not stuck. You're in a sacred pause. Now let's take a moment to pray together. God, thank you for being present in the quiet, for meeting us in the moments where we don't have the words, where we don't get the closure, where things don't make sense. Help us to trust you enough to let go, even when it feels unfinished. Teach us that peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. Give us the strength to walk away without explaining, to release without reacting, and to rest in the stillness you provide. And God, for anyone listening right now who is holding on to something heavy, remind them they don't have to carry it anymore. We trust you with what we release. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, before you go, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube to Bryn Elise Worship and Words for all of my Christian music. Also, join Divine Shenanigans school community. It's completely free, and we are starting our daily Shenanigans Bible study tomorrow, May 1st. And don't forget to subscribe on Substack at Divine Shenanigans for your monthly newsletter, encouragement, and real-life faith quotes. God bless you, my friend. Keep showing up. Keep growing. Keep trusting God, even in the quiet places. And remember, you don't need a dramatic exit to walk into a peaceful next chapter. I'll see you right back here for more Divine Shenanigans next week. So here is the song of the week, Learning to Be Still by yours truly, Brinny Lease. Take a deep breath, release what you've been holding, and let this meet you right where you are. God bless you, my friend.
I used to say what I was feeling. The second it crossed my mind, I'm willing. Every thought, it needed a reaction. Every hurt searched for a line of distraction. I'd raise my voice just to be heard, holding tight to every single word. Like silence meant I'd lose control. Letting go felt like losing my soul. But I'm getting tired of the echoes, all the things I don't need to prove. So I'm learning how to be still. Even when I want to speak, I choose to move. Learning I don't have to chase every thought that comes to embrace. I don't need to shout out loud, I don't need to win just to stand proud. Letting peace rewrite my voice, choosing quiet, I make my choice. Not every ending needs a speech, not every wound needs the world to breach. But I'm getting tired of the echoes, all the things I don't need to prove. So I'm learning how to be still. Even when I want to speak, I choose to move. Some things heal in hidden places. Some grace comes softly without traces. I don't need the last word now. What I used to seek, I let go somehow. What used to pull me into storms doesn't have to anymore. Breaks the norms. Oh, I'm not losing who I am inside. Just letting go of the past where I used to hide. So I'm learning how to be still, not rushing thoughts that are mine to fill. Finding strength in the quiet nights where peace illuminates and the spirit takes flight. But I'm getting tired of the echoes, all the things I don't need to prove. So I'm learning how to be still. Even when I want to speak, I choose to move. Learning more each passing day, letting go, and that's okay. In this stillness I find my song, quiet whispers where